object class methods, and the rest of the things we will discuss when the exact time comes. Okay. Today we are going to discuss about the string class, java.lang.string class. String is a class which is used to represent multi-character content. String is a class which is used to represent multi-character content. And string is a class which is there in the library, and string is a final class. String is a final class. So we cannot create a subclass to string. It's not possible to create a subclass to string class. And a string is a immutable object. A string object is a immutable object, and the string class is said to be a immutable class. String object is said to be an immutable object, and string class is said to be an immutable class. Okay. What is an immutable object means? Let's consider that here we have person, right? We have person object. We have a person class, and we are going to create a person object. Now, even using clone also we are creating a new object. Am I right? Even using clone we are creating a new object. Okay. Now, after creating a new object by any way, could we able to change the content of the object? No. Could we able to change the content of the object? No. See, first what I have created? I created a clone of P1, which is P2, which represents a new object. After creating a new object, what I am doing? I am changing the ID and name, and I am changing the address. That means, am I changing the content of the object? Yes or no? Yes. We are changing the content of the object. So, these objects are mutable. That means, the object whose content can be changed is called as mutable. The object whose content can be changed is called as a mutable object, and that class is said to be a mutable class. That class is said to be a mutable class.
In case of shallow elements, we are creating another object and the reference is changing. So we are not exactly changing the data in the same object. That's what
See, that's completely different. What I am telling is, once we create a person object through clone or through any method, okay, through any way we are creating one object. After creating an object, could we able to change the values of the attributes? Yes, right? So that is said to be a mutable object. Okay, if that is the case, whether we create the object using new operator or whether we create the object using class.forName, or whether we create the object using a clone, whatever the way it might be. Once the object is created, if we could be able to change the values of the attribute of that object, then it is a mutable object. If you are not able to do so, then it is a immutable object. If you are not able to do so, then it is a immutable object. String is a immutable object and string class is said to be a immutable class. Once a string object is created, it is impossible to alter the content of the string object. Once a string object is created, it is impossible to alter the content of the string object. Now, let me have a new follow questions. We have string demo.java and let me write we said that string is an immutable object. Once the content of the string, once the object of the string is created, it's not possible to modify the value of the string object. In any immutable class, only getters method will be there. Setters method will not be available. In any immutable class, only getters will be available. Setter methods will not be available in an immutable class. If setter method is there, then we can change the content of the object. But setter methods will never be available in any immutable object. So, even the string class doesn't contain any setter methods. So some of the interviewers will be asking like how we can make a custom immutable class or a custom immutable object, a user defined immutable class. Can we create a user defined immutable class? Yes, we can define a user defined immutable class. Just by making all the attributes as private and keeping only getter methods. If you make all the attributes as private and if you keep only getter methods, then that class will become a immutable class and that object will become a immutable object. Just because if private is there, then we cannot cross the boundaries of the class. Okay? If private is there, then we cannot cross the boundaries of the class. Okay? And if setter is not there, even from outside the class we cannot modify the value. So that object becomes an immutable object if all the attributes of the class are private and there is no setter method. Only getter method should be there. Then that object is, then if the class is like that, then the object of the class is said to be immutable. Understood why and how we can make a custom immutable class? Just write a class, all attributes should be private and no setter method should be there. Only getters should be there. If that is the case, then the class is said to be immutable class and the object is said to be an immutable object. If there is no setter method, we cannot modify the value. So the object becomes immutable. Now, let me write a class. Hello. Just I'm trying to append, okay, 1, 2, 3. Is this a string or string? Now to str, I'm trying to append 1, 2, 3. To str, I'm trying to append 1, 2, 3. Now. Then in order to append a string to another string, we use the delimiter plus. Plus is the appending character between two strings. Plus is the appending character between two strings. Yes, if you want to append one string with another, we use plus. Then, what is the value? What is the value? Hello? We have appended 1, 2, 3, right? But for str we have appended 1, 2, 3, right? What's the value? Will it give hello or hello 1, 2, 3? Compile them? Error. Why it is a compile them error? If string is a immutable object, it doesn't mean that if we try to change the content of the string, it will give a compile time error. Okay? If string is a immutable object, that doesn't mean that if we try to change the content of that object, it will give a compile time error. It will not give a compile time error if we try to change the content of the object. Okay? Understood? It will not give any compile time error if you try to change the content of the string object. Okay? Let me see how it will be. Okay. Here what we are doing? Just we are creating a string. We are creating a string object, but we are not assigning to any value. If we try to create, if we try to append some string content, okay, or if we are trying to create a string object, but if we are not assigning to any reference, okay, then it will be a compile time error. If we are assigning or if we are creating a string object, okay, if you are or if you are trying to append some content to string, then it should be assigned to any other reference, then only it will compile. Okay, then only it will compile, otherwise it will not be compiled. If you are appending a string, if you are appending a string, okay, if you are appending a string to any other content, if you are appending a string to any other content, okay, now what happens is, if you are appending a string to any other content, the compiler expects that it should be assigned to any other string, otherwise it will give a compile time error. It will be only for strings. Okay, so we have assigned it to str. Now the value will be str 1 2 3. Sorry, it not give the package structure. So now the value is hello 1 2 3. Now let me consider that now what could be the output? Sorry, see, it will become true, it will become true if this string is appended to this string in the existing object. See, we have a string object with hello, and what we are doing is we are trying to append 1 2 3, right? And for 1 2 3 object we create a new string object. Every string will be considered as a new string object. This is one string object and this is another string object. The string object can be created in two ways, either using new operator or directly using a content with double quotes. Okay. Okay? Either way, a string object is created. Either way, we can create a string object. Either like this or like this. Either way, it is the same. Okay? So, these are two string objects. When I am trying to append the content of this string object to this string, when I am trying to append the content of this string object to this string. Now, if the same string object is changed, now it will become true. So, if I try to append this content to this content, okay, with the changed content, a new object is created. With the change in content, if a new object is created, it will become false. Now, based on whether true or false, we can see whether the existing object content is changed or new object is created. Whether the existing object content is changed or a new object is created. New object is created. Whenever we try to manipulate the content of a string object, with the changed content, a new string object will be created. The existing string object will never be modified. Whenever we try to manipulate the content of the string object, with the changed content, a new string object will be created. With the changed content, a new string object will be created. But the existing string object will never be modified. It is because string object is a immutable object.
In the previous program also, new string object will be created.
New string object?
If we are not string and we are writing string str equal to str plus in double quotes.
You are asking like this? You are asking like this? Yes. Any case, we try to manipulate the content of the string object, any string will be created. Here what happens? First, a string object will be created. First, a string object will be created where str1, okay, is pointing to a string object exists alone. Okay, again another string object is created with the content 1 to 3. Okay, and what we are doing, we are appending 1 to 3 to str1. So, a new object will be created with the content, the appended content, hello 1 to 3. And now, previously str1 was referring to this object. Now what happens? str1 will refer to this object. Now str1 will re-refer this object, and this object will become a reduction. Understood? Anyhow, we try to change the content of the string object by any way. We try to change the content of the string object. A new string object with the change in content is created. The existing string object will never be modified. Now what is the value? Will it be true or false? Definitely it will be false. Just because two different objects will have two different addresses. The double equal to operator will check for addresses. So obviously it will be false. Okay. Now what's the first one and what's the second one? First one is false. Second one is definitely true. Just because already equals method, hash code method, clone method, all the methods are overridden in string. Okay? All the methods are overridden, all the methods of the object class are overridden in the string class. So the equals method of the string class will check the content of the string, not the address. Okay, so it is true. Now, will be false or true? First one is false, second one is false. Just because, okay, the upper case and lower case are considered to be different in Java. Java is a case sensitive programming language. Upper case and lower case are considered to be different. So, false and false. So, if you want to compare two string objects ignoring the case, if you want to compare two string objects ignoring the case, there is a method which is specific to string, which is equals ignore case. Okay, just let me write it in a separate line. Equals ignore case. Okay, fine. Now the third will become true just because the content is the same but case is different. Okay, false, false, and true. Second one will be false just because equals method will consider the case, but the equals ignore case will ignore the case and will just check the content. So if you want to do case sensitive comparison of two strings, then we go for equals. If you want to go for case insensitive comparison of two strings, if you want to go for case insensitive comparison of two strings, then we go for equals ignore case. If you want to go for case insensitive comparison of two strings, then we go for equals ignore case. Now, False? False. Just because these three are three different string objects. Okay? Now? False? False? Last one is? Will it be false or true? What is the value of this system node 15,000? Will it be false or true? False? Why it is true? Why? If the content is same, why it should give the same hash value? If the content is same, why it should give the same hash value? String class, in the string class, as we told earlier, hash code method is already overridden to verify the content. Equals to string hash code clone, all the methods are overridden in the string class, which will act based on the content. So even hash value generated in the string class will be based on the content. So this third one will become true. Okay, the hash code method will be, the hash code method is overridden in string, so that the hash value generated from the hash code method of the string class will be based on the content, not the address. Now what's the output? False and false. What's the output? False and true. Why it is giving a false and true? Just this is one string object, this is another string object. Definitely this is one string object and this is another string object. If this is one string object and this is another string object, why it should give false? Sorry, why it should give true? Now, if this becomes true, why when we compare str1 and str2, why it should give false? Understand my question? See, if we observe the str1 and str2, str3 and str4, str1 and str2 looks like the same. str3 and str4 looks like the same. If str3 equal to str4 becomes true, why str1 equal to str2 becomes false? That's a big question. Okay? Let me answer that question. Okay? Understood that? Understood the question? See, here, if you see here, str1 and str2 content resembles the same. str3 and str4 resembles the same. But why the first one is false and the second one is true? Okay? Here, we told that there are two ways of creating the string object. One is using a new operator or directly a string constant. It's called a new string object. This is called a new string object, and the next one is called as a string constant. See, if you create a string object like this, then this is called as a new string object. But if you create a string object like this, then it is called as a string constant. This is a string constant and this is a new string object. Okay? And all the strings in the application will be stored at one place where it is called as a string pool. All the strings will be stored at one place, it is called as a string pool. All the strings in the application will be stored in one place, it is called as a string pool. And the string pool contains two sections. One is constant pool and non-constant pool. This is non-constant pool and this is constant pool. Let's consider that. This was a logical assumption. Okay? Let's consider this is a constant pool and this is a non-constant pool. Okay? All the string constants will be stored in the constant pool. All the string constants will be stored in the constant pool. And all the new string objects will be stored in the non-constant pool. ABC, which is referred by str1. Okay? ABC which is referred by str1 will be created in the non-constant. ABC which is referred by str2 will also be there in the non-constant. Now, the address of these two objects is the same or different? Different. So, the equal to operator will be the false. If we go for str1 equal to str2, okay, definitely it will be the false. Just because the address of these two objects is completely different. Okay, but the str3, is it referring to the constant string or a non-constant string? It's a constant string. So it will be shown in the constant. Now, the third string object will be stored in the constant. Which is stored in the constant, which is referred by str3. Okay? Now, up to this point, now, the fourth string, where it is created, the constant pool or non-constant? Constant. So, while creating a new object into the constant pool, what the JVM will do means, the JVM will verify whether there is an existing object with the same content. While adding a new string object to the constant pool, or before adding a new string object to the constant pool, first the JVM will verify whether an object already exists with that content or not. Before adding a string object to the constant pool, first the JVM will verify First the JVM will verify. Whether an existing object is there with the same content or not. An existing object is there with the same content or not. If there is an existing object with the same content, then the new reference will refer to the same object. The new reference will refer to the same object. If there is no existing object with the same content, then that string of object will be added to the function. If there is an existing object, then the new reference will refer to the existing object only. If there is no existing object with the same content, then the object will be added to the function. So both STR3 as well as STR4 are pointing to the same object. Now how many string objects are created here? How many string objects are created? 3 or 4? 3. Only 3 string objects are created. Okay? Both references STR3 as well as STR4, these two are pointing to the same string object. Okay? So this is service. Understood? How the constant, how a string constant and how a string object which is created using new operator will be deferred. Understood the difference between those two strings? They appear to be the same content, but the place that they are stored is different. Okay, the way that they behave is different. Okay? So, in this way we can reuse the string constants. String constants can be reused. Okay? Now what's the value? Will it be false or will it be true? False. Okay? It will be definitely false. Okay? Just because it involves a new string object. Okay? If the appending involves a new string object, definitely the object will be created in the non-constant pool. See here, a new string object is there as well as a constant string is there. Here a new string object is there as well as a constant string is there. Okay? So, if the appending involves a new string object as well as a constant. If the appending involves a new string object, definitely the resultant string will be generated in the non-constant pool. In this case, str1 is referring to the new string object. Definitely, this also will be generated in a non-constant pool. If both are generated in a non-constant pool, will they have the same address? If both are generated in a non-constant pool, it will never have the same address. Just because non-constant pool, the objects will be in different addresses. So here the output will be false. The output is false here. Just because if the appending involves any non-constant string, if the appending involves any non-constant string, then the resultant string object also will be a non-constant. Also, it will be created in a non-constant pool. So, this is false. Now, what happens? False? False? False true or false false or true false or true true? False? True. Why it is false? See, it involves a new string object. Since it involves a new string object, definitely it will be created in a non-constant pool. Where it is created? Where this is created? Definitely it will be in a constant pool. Okay? Now, str3 plus str4. Both str3 as well as str4 are string constant, are the references to string constants. Okay? Are the references to string constants. What happens? Is false false or false true? False false. Either we use new string objects or any references. Whether we use new string objects or any references while appending. While appending, if we use new string objects or any references, then the resultant will be there in the non-constant pool. The resultant will be there in the non-constant pool. Either we use new string objects or references, then the resultant will be there in the non-constant pool. Now, in order to append two string objects, Am I using directly the string constants or am I using the references here? I'm using the references to the string constants. If I use the references to the string constants, even then, if I use the references to the string constants, even then the generated string will be there in the non-constant. If I use the references to the string constants are different and references to the string constants are different. Here, am I using the string constants or references to the string constants? I'm using the references to the string constants. Okay? Even if I use the references to the string constants, the resultant string will be there in the non-constant pool. Okay? The resultant string will be there in the non-constant pool. If I use the references, definitely the resultant string will be there in the non-constant pool. Yes, even in that case, if I use the references to append two strings, definitely they will be there in the non-constant pool. Okay? Even the references are pointing to the constant pool. Even the references are pointing to the constant pool. If I use references to append two strings, then the resultant strings will be there in the non-constant pool. Okay? So the resultant string definitely str9 will be pointing to the non-constant pool. If you use references to append strings, definitely the resultant string will be there in the non-constant pool. Now what happens? First one will be false, second one will be false, just because str8 is pointing to the constant pole and str9 definitely will point to the non-constant pole, just because we are using references. But if we append two string constants directly without using references, then the resultant string will be there in the constant pole. If we append two string constants without using references, then the resultant string will be there in the constant pool. Now the resultant string will be there in the constant pool. What is the resultant string of these two appending? ABC, XYZ. Just see here. Here we are appending ABC and XYZ, both are string constants. Since both are string constants, after appending, the resultant string will be stored in the constant pool. Okay? Now, ABC, XYZ will be the resultant after the appending. Now, is there any string with the same content in the constant pool? Is there any string object with the same content in the constant pool? Yes, already it exists in the form of str8. So now for str10, will it create a new string object or will it go with the existing string object only? Will it go with the existing string object or will it create a new string object? It will try to refer existing string object only. Both str8 and str10 both will refer the same. Understood, Sharat? Understood? So the last value will be true. Understood? If you use references to append strings or if you use new string object to append strings, definitely the resultant will be there in the non-constant pool. But if we try to append string constants without references, If you try to append string constants without any references, then the resultant string will be there in the constant. Now, just by seeing this application, just calculate the number of string objects present. Just try to calculate the number of string objects present. Nine? Six? Fine. Let's see. How many string objects are there here? Now, for the first line, a new string object will be created. Let's consider that we have a full, a constant full and a non-constant full. Okay? A non-constant full and a constant full. Okay? Now the first string object will be there in the constant full or non-constant full? Non-constant full. So, new string object will be created, it will contain. Okay? And the second string object will be created in the so, which is referred by str1, str2. And third string object will be created in the constant. So, fourth string object will be created in the constant. So, XYZ. And again for str5, what happens? A new string object is created. For this, a new string object will be created. Okay? And for this, will you create a new string object? No. Already string constant is there with XYZ. Okay? And if you append these two, what happens? ABC XYZ will be there. For this appending, ABC XYZ will be generated. After appending, we will create a new string object or what happens? See, ABC XYZ is appended to ABC. Now, for that, it will result in new string object. Just because the appending involves a new string. So, ABC XYZ. Okay? And again, str6 is equal to str1 plus XYZ. Now, what's str1? Already a string object is created, so it will not create. Okay? So, just str1 plus XYZ. XYZ is already there, a string constant. Okay? str1 plus XYZ means will it result to a new string object or will it result a constant string? New string object. So, again, sorry. So ABC XYZ here, ABC XYZ, which is referred by str5. And for str6 also, which is referred by str6. Okay? Now, again for str7 also, what happens? A new string object will contain ABC will be created, and then sorry, 7, a new string object will contain XYZ will be created, and the existing ABC, this constant, what happens? Is already there in the constant pool. So it will not be created. So after appending ABC with the right hand XYZ, again with new content, a new object will be created. This new ABC XYZ will be verified by STR7. Okay? Again, STR8 will create a new constant ABC XYZ in the constant. Okay? STR9, what happens? STR3 plus STR4. STR3 already exists, STR4 already exists. Okay? But STR3 plus STR4, what happens? It will create a new object. Where it will create a new object in the constant pool or non-constant pool? Non-constant pool. So, ABC XYZ, which is referred by STR9. Okay? Now, STR10 will create a new object for the string constant? No. Will create a new object for the string constant? Will create a new object for the resultant? Yes or no? No. It will not create a new object for the resultant just because the resultant is also a constant. Already a constant exists in the same content that is XYZ. So, a new string object will not be created. For STR10, it will not create a new string object just because already ABC is there in the constant pool, already XYZ is there in the constant pool, and the resultant also will be there in the constant pool. It will verify whether ABC XYZ content is there in the constant pool or not. Already it is there, which is referred by STR8. So it will not create a new string object. Now, how many string objects are there totally? How many are there? Like that, some of the viewers will be asking, how many string objects are there in this program? Okay? Let's do the analysis. And in string class, already toString equals hash code clone, all the methods are overridden. Okay? Understood how the non-constant string will behave and how the constant string will behave and how appending will be there for constants and non-constants as well as references? Understood, right? Everybody? Now, we'll switch over to the methods in string. Each and every method in string has some importance. Okay, will be used for some basic purposes. Okay, we'll see what are the methods in string and why the methods are useful. Okay, the first and foremost method in string is, as we told earlier, equals hash code to string, all the methods are overridden. We need not to override them. They will verify the content. Now, I have removed all these things. Otherwise, I'll comment the things. It may be used for future purpose. Yes, I have commented them. Now, the first method in string is length. Already we have seen several times. The length method will give you the number of characters present in a string. Length method will give the number of characters present in a string. The length method will give the number of characters present in the string. Number of characters present in the string. So what are the number of characters present in the string? 3. Even space is also considered a character. Space is also considered a character. Now ABC space. That means 4 characters. So the length of the string will be 4. Sorry, str1 is there. So the length is 4. Even space is considered to be a character. Now, what's the value printed? What's the value printed? Runtime? Depends upon the runtime. Is it correct? Okay, I told clearly in the first class itself. Okay? Any array, whatever the arithmetic, it might be integer array, string array, or character array, or object array, or any array, will be array. Any array will be an array, and for any array, length is a attribute, not a method. What is args? Is it a string or a string array? Args is a string array, not a string. For a string array, the length will be attribute, not a method. It will give you a compile time error. So, now if I don't pass any command line arguments, what is the value? 0. So, the value will be 0. Let's consider that. Now, if I pass one command line argument, if I pass a command line argument with content Ravi, then let's consider like while executing this, I pass a command line argument with content Ravi. Then what's the value? Understood my question? While executing, if I pass a command line argument with a value Ravi, what is the value? It will be a compile time error. Just because args of 0 means the first element in the string. But the first element in the string will be the first element in the string array will be a string or string array. The first element in the string array will it be a string or string array? String. Do we have length attribute in string? Understood the thing? See, args of 0 means the first element in that array. See, we have string array. We have a string array. This is a string array. Okay? The first element will be a string, second will be a string, third will be a string, fourth will be a string, and fifth also will be a string. What are we doing? Args of 0 dot length. Args of 0 means we will point to this position. Now here, do we have a string array or do we have a string at this position? It's a string, not a string array. But do we have a length as an attribute in a string? Do we have a length as an attribute in a string? Do we have length as an attribute in a string? Or length is a method in a string? Length is a method in a string. But what we are accessing? We are accessing the length as a attribute. Okay? So, it will be a compile time error. See, args of 0 means it will be a string. It's not a string array. It's the first element in the string array. The first element in the string array will be a string, but in a string we don't have a attribute length. We have a method length. Now it will be compiled. Understood, Style? Understood? Paka? Sorry. Let me go to SRC. Ball application. Go to the classes. And while executing, let me give Ravi. Okay, while executing, I'll give. Sorry. While executing, let me give Ravi as a command and argument. So, what gives the length of Ravi? 4. Now, like that it will be. Okay, length is an attribute in a array. Length is a method in a string. Even for a string array, length will be an attribute. Then, as we told already, the toString method is overridden in string, so it will print the content, not the address. And we already discussed about equals ignore case. Why equals ignore case is used? Why equals ignore case is used? Just if you want to go with case insensitive comparison. If you want to go for case insensitive comparison of two strings, we use equals ignore case, and this is specific to string. And the next one is append. What's open? Concat. Yes, it's concat. Append is there in string buffer. It's concat. Okay. What concat will do means the concat method will do the same thing that is done by plus. The concat method will do the same thing that is done by plus. Just it will append the string at the end. It will append the string at the end. And the concat method return type is string, which returns the resultant string. Okay? The resultant string is ABC XYZ. Now what is the value printed? Just I have created new string, I have concatenated XYZ, and I am printing the string. Then what is the value of the str1 printed? ABC XY. ABC XY Z. Okay? Let me see. System. Sorry. What's the value? It's just ABC. What I told? Whenever we try to change the content of a string, the existing string object will never be modified. Okay? What it will do means, we try to change the content of a string. First, here it is ABC, which is there, which is being referred by str1. Okay, and what we are doing, str1 dot concat of xyz. Xyz will be shown in constant pool or non constant pool? Xyz will be there in constant pool or non constant pool? Non constant pool. Is it a string constant or non constant? Definitely it is a string constant, right? Are we using new operator to create a string? No, it is a string constant. So xyz is there in the constant. Now, if you try to append a string from the constant pool and non-constant pool, what happens? Where the result string will be stored? Non-constant pool, right? So ABC XY will be there in the non-constant pool. Okay? ABC XY will be there in the non-constant. Now, where str1 is referring to? Where str1 is referring to? ABC. Still, the str1 is referring to ABC. The concat method will just create a new object with the concatenated content. That's it. But it will not try to refer the existing reference to the new object. If you want to make the existing reference to refer to the new object means, what we need to do is, we need to assign like this. Then only the reference will be referring to the newly concatenated object. Otherwise, if you leave like as it is, what happens? The concat method, what it will do? It will create a new string object with the concatenated content. It will create a new string object with the concatenated content. But still, the reference will be pointing to the existing string object only. What we can do is, we can assign a new object to the existing reference. How we can do is, just we can assign the new object to the existing reference. Then, now the string object will be pointing to the new object. So, now the value will be ABCXY. Understood the difference? And any method in the string, any method which is there in the string class will generate the string in the non-constant pool only. Let me see here how it happens. Now what happens? See, first one is a string constant which is stored in the constant pool. But if we concat a string constant to another string constant, if we concat a string constant to another string constant, where the resultant will be created? But if it is plus, where it is created? See, understand the difference? Now, where str1 is created? Where str1 is created in the constant pool or non-constant pool? Constant pool. Where str2 is created in the constant pool or non-constant pool? constant pool. Definitely, just because we are trying to append two string constants without references. Now, where the third one, str3 is created, whether it is created in the constant pool or non-constant pool. Whether it will be created in the constant pool or non-constant pool. Definitely non-constant pool. Any method in the string class will return a string object which is created in the. Just let me clear the screen. What happens? The first one is true, but the second and third are false. Just because any string method, any method that is present in a string class will return the resultant string which is created in a non-constant pool. Any string method, there are several methods in string which return strings. Like concat is one method which returns a string. Okay? Any method in string class which returns a string will create a string object in the non-constant pool. That means all the string methods will create a new string object in the non-constant pool. All the string methods will create a new string object in the non-constant pool. The string methods will not create a string object in the constant pool. Any method in the string class which returns a string. There are several methods in the string class which return string. All the methods in the string class which return a string will definitely create the new string object in the non-constant pool. So concat is used to append the string at the end. And the next method is trim. The next method is trim. What the trim method will do? What the trim method will do means, the trim method will remove the leading and trailing white spaces from a string. The trim method will remove the leading and trailing white spaces from a string. The trim method will remove the leading and trailing white spaces from the string. Then, if the trim method removes the leading and trailing white spaces from the string, okay, what's the length of the string? See, these are the leading white spaces, okay, these are the leading white spaces, and these are the trailing white spaces, right? If the leading white spaces and trailing white spaces are removed, okay, then what will be the length of the string? 3. Okay, the output is? The output is? What's the output? Will it give 3 or more than 3? Will it give 3 or more than 3? Let me see. What's the output? 11. Even we are removing the leading and trailing white spaces, what we are doing? We are changing the content of the string. See, either adding something or removing something, we are changing the content of the string. If we are changing the content of the string, with a change in the content, a new string object will be created. But am I referring str with a new string object? No. Still str will be referring to, still str1 is referring to a string content which is having leading and trailing white spaces. If you want to make it to refer the new string object, newly created string object means, then only the value will be 3. Understood? The trim method will not trim the existing string object. Trim method will create a new string object with the trimmed content. Understood? So now the value will be 3. Understood? The trim method will remove the leading and trailing white spaces, but the trim method will not remove the white spaces in middle. The trim method can definitely remove the leading and trailing white spaces, but the trim method cannot remove the white spaces in the middle of characters. So the trim method will not remove the characters the trim method will not remove the white spaces in between characters. The trim method will just remove the leading and trailing white spaces. See, A space BC. So the trim method could be able to remove the trailing white space as well as the leading white space, but not the white spaces in the middle. Understand? That's about trim. Okay, there are several other methods in string, and we have 2 other classes, string buffer and string builder. Okay, what are the other methods in string? Why they are useful? Okay, we have another thing named string tokenizer. What is string tokenizer? Why it is used? Okay, and we will discuss all the things. Most probably we will complete the string by tomorrow, and after completion of the string, the next concept for us is wrapper classes. We have different wrapper classes: integer, long, byte, short. For each and every primitive there is a wrapper class. Why is wrapper class used? What are the different methods present in the wrapper class? How to make use of wrapper class objects? That we'll discuss later on. But tomorrow's class most probably will complete the string related stuff. And on Saturday the class will be from 6 to 8. The same time. We don't have any extra classes. If possible, we'll have some classes on Sunday. Okay? Be prepared for that.